The title of all of Chapter 2 is called Justification and Similarity. We're starting with 211 under that hole punch right there. There's a 2. And 211 is titled Triangle Congruence Theorems. We're going to answer the question, what information do I need? Okay? So for question number 1, it says you can use your patty paper, but we're going to use highlighters instead. Okay? So if you have highlighters, go ahead and pull them out. So recall that if two polygons have the same angle measures and side lengths for all pairs of corresponding angles and sides, then the two polygons are congruent. And there is a sequence of rigid transformation that maps one polygon onto the other. So for part A, they want us to verify that all the corresponding side lengths and all the corresponding angle measures of the two triangles below are equal. What is the sequence of rigid transformation that maps the triangle on the left onto the image on the right? Note that the triangles are drawn to scale. Okay? So what I did is I took each of my highlighter colors and I looked for things that were the same, meaning equal or congruent, on the left triangle to the right triangle. Okay? So the first thing I found was an angle measure of 28 and an angle measure of 28. So I highlighted them both pink. Okay? Then I found a side of 30 and a side of 30. So I highlighted them both yellow. Okay? Then I found an angle with a box and an angle with a box, because they're both 90 degrees, and I highlighted them both orange. Okay? Then I found a side of 16 and a side of 16, and I highlighted them both green. Okay? What this tells me is that they have the same order: pink, yellow, orange, green. Pink, yellow, orange, green. Okay? So while this one is turned, or what we call rotated, it still matches up the angle, then the side, then the angle, then the side. The angle, side, angle, side. Okay? So we can write a congruence statement for the two triangles, and we want to know, are they congruent? The answer is yes. The angle, or the congruent pieces must occur in the same order or in the same position. And so we're going to say that triangle TRI is congruent to triangle GAN. So you have to match them up in the correct order. So on this triangle, I started by the green. So I did T, then the angle that was orange, and then the angle that was pink. Okay, so I did TRI. So I have to do the same on the second triangle. I started by the green, went to the orange, and then the pink. So it's GAN. Okay? Notice you have to go in the same order. You could have gone IRT, and then you could go NAG. Okay? But it just has to match up in the same order. Question 2.2 says, Louise wants to write a statement that the two triangles below are congruent. He started with triangle MNP is congruent, and then he didn't know what came next, so he put ... but got stuck because the triangles are not oriented the same way. Okay? Since they're not oriented the same way, I took my highlighters and matched up again. I found a 6 and a 6, so I highlighted them both orange. I found a 15 and a 15, so I highlighted them both yellow. I found a 12 and a 12, so I highlighted them both green. Okay? Then I followed the order that they used, right? They used M, so I put a 1. Then they used N, so I put a 2. And then they used P, so I put a 3. Okay? Then I had to match up the same angles. So the first one should be between orange and yellow. So here's orange and yellow, I put a 1. The second one was between yellow and green. Here's yellow and green, so I put a 2. The third angle has to be the third one, right? So I knew it must be U, W, V. So that's what I put for A. That the MNP, triangle MNP has to be congruent to triangle UWV. Okay? You have to match up the sides correctly and then match up the angles correctly. So part B says these triangles are drawn to scale. What sequence of rigid transformations would map the triangle on the left onto the triangle on the right? And we used a rotation, so it gets turned, right? And then it has a translation, which is a slide over, okay? Any questions on that? Are you stretching or is your hand up? Stretching. Okay, good. All right. We're going to turn over to the top of page 2. Shrink that down just a tad. Top of page 2 is question 3. It says the triangles below are drawn to scale and congruent sides and angles are indicated with tick marks. Are the triangles congruent? If so, write a congruence statement and explain how you know they are congruent. Justify your answer in several ways. Okay? So I took my highlighter again. I found a double tick and a double tick, so I marked them both green. I found a single tick angle and a single tick angle, so I marked them both orange. And then I found a single tick and a single tick side, so I marked them both yellow. Okay? So the green and green are a side. The orange and orange are angles. And the yellow and yellow are sides. So I wrote out side, angle, side. So you say yes, they are congruent by SAS. Side, angle, side. Okay? And if they want you to write out the full name of the specific side, it's RL congruent to CA, angle L congruent to angle A, and side LN congruent to side AB. Okay? I just helped you match them up by color. Green, orange, yellow. Green, orange, yellow. And the orange has to be between the two sides. The orange side has to be between the two sides. The orange has to be between the two sides in order for it to be side, angle, side. If the angle is on the outside of the two sides, like if it was over here or over here, it would be ASS. Doesn't that spell a bad word? ASS? We can't use that in math. That's a no-no. If it spells that bad word, we can't use that one. Okay? That's how you know it doesn't work. Right? No bad words in math. Okay? Notice ASS is not one of our congruents, right? We don't have that on any of those. Okay? Doesn't work. All right? Flip over to page 3. Question number 4, it says, in a previous course, you may have investigated congruent triangles. Read the math notes box in this lesson to review the triangle congruence theorems, then determine if the following pairs of triangles must be congruent. If they are congruent, write a congruence statement and theorem, and the theorem that you used. And describe a sequence of rigid transformations that would help map one triangle onto the other. Note that the triangles are not necessarily drawn to scale. So I'm going to do A with you, and then in your groups, you're going to do B through F. Okay? So for A, I used my highlighter. So when you get into group, if somebody has highlighters, great. Hopefully they want to share them, and you can highlight the different sides and angles. Okay? So I matched an 8, a side of 8, and a side of 8, and I highlighted them both pink. Then I found an angle of 70 and an angle of 70. I highlighted them both yellow. Then I found a side of orange and a side of orange, and I a side of 11 and a side of 11, and I highlighted them both orange, okay? These two triangles are congruent by side, angle, side. It's one of the 5 choices, right? So in your group, you're going to work through B, C, D, E, and F. If you get stuck, you can raise your hand and let me know, and I'll come around and help your group. When you're done with B through F, then you can finish